All right, welcome. Today we're diving deep into a classic summer drink, homemade lemonade, also known as Nimbu Pani. Now, you probably think you know exactly what a sugary drink will do to your blood sugar, but trust me, the results of this little investigation might just blow your mind. Okay, so let's get right into it. We're looking at a really simple home experiment. The goal? To see what one single glass of lemonade actually does to blood glucose levels in real time. I mean, it's a fair question, right? We see sugar on the ingredient list and our brain immediately screams sugar bomb. We just assume it's going to send our glucose levels to the moon. But is that the whole story? Let's find out. So let's break down what we're drinking. It's about 300 milliliters of water, 3 teaspoons of regular sugar, and the juice of 1 whole lemon. All told, it's only about 50 calories. But still, with 3 teaspoons of sugar, you're probably thinking, okay, here comes the spike.
And now, for the results. This is where things get really interesting. What did that continuous glucose monitor actually show us?
28. The total increase in blood sugar was just 28 milligrams per deciliter. Now, I know what you're thinking. Is that a lot? Is it a little? Well, on its own, that number doesn't mean much. We need some context. And here is that context. When the exact same test was done with coconut water, which has a similar amount of sugar, it caused a spike of 37. So the lemonade, even with that added table sugar, resulted in a much, much lower increase. Yeah, that's a 25% lower spike. That is a huge difference, way more than you'd expect. It's an amazing result that kind of flies in the face of what we thought we knew about sweetened drinks. And this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? If the amount of sugar was pretty much the same as the coconut water, the spike should have been similar. So what gives? What's the secret variable that changed the game? Well, it turns out the secret weapon here was hiding in plain sight. The reason for that smaller spike has everything to do with that one ingredient we almost took for granted, the lemon itself. Meet the hero of our story, citric acid. This is the natural stuff that gives lemons their sour, tangy kick. And it turns out it has a really powerful effect on how our body actually handles and processes sugar. So here's the key. The citric acid basically acts like a brake. It slows down the whole process, preventing all that glucose from the sugar from just flooding into your bloodstream all at once. It smooths everything out. But, and this is important, this slowing effect comes with a trade-off. Because you're slowing down that sugar release, the overall peak of the spike is much lower, which is great. But the flip side is that it takes your body longer to process all that sugar and get your glucose levels back down to normal. And yep, you can see it right here in the numbers. It took a full 2.5 hours for blood sugar to return to baseline after the lemonade. Compare that to just 1.75 hours for the coconut water. So a lower spike for sure, but a much longer tail on the curve. Now, you might be thinking this is just some weird one-off lemon thing, but it's not. This effective acid on how we metabolize glucose is a well-known biochemical principle, and we've actually seen it pop up before in a totally different, very popular context. In fact, it's the exact same mechanism behind the whole apple cider vinegar trend. You know, people drinking ACV to manage their blood sugar. It's the same idea. The only difference is that ACV has acetic acid, while lemons have citric acid, 2 different acids doing pretty much the same job. Look at this previous experiment, for example. Eating pizza on its own caused a 38-point spike. But when someone had just 1 tablespoon of ACV in water beforehand, that spike dropped all the way down to 24. That is a massive reduction, all thanks to that same principle we just saw with the lemon juice. So what does this all mean for us, practically? We know the citric acid in lemons works, and we know the acetic acid in ACV works to blunt a glucose spike. So which one should we be reaching for? And honestly, the source material just frames this conclusion perfectly. It asks a really simple, logical question that gets right to the heart of it. I mean, when you lay it all out, the choice seems pretty obvious, right? Lemons are everywhere. They're 100% natural, they're packed with other good stuff like vitamin C, they're cheap, and let's be totally honest, fresh lemonade tastes a whole lot better than a shot of vinegar. It really leaves you with a fascinating thought, doesn't it? In our constant search for complex health solutions and expensive supplements, maybe we're overlooking the simple, powerful, and delicious tools that are already sitting right there in our fruit bowl. Definitely something to think about.